Hi guys, so did you all miss me for the past couple weeks? Yeah, I know. It's been a while since I made a video. But the thing is that I am now one of the many VTubers that has actually been yeeted off the YouTube platform. Yeah, that's something. But anyways, I'm back again with another video. As always, we can try to get, into the drama as to why I was banned off of YouTube. Everybody knows that the YouTube bot system is kind of weird and wacky, and unfortunately it likes to do the whole spray and pray situation, so it's nothing too new. Let's get into the video here. And so what I want to discuss is in this video is I want to get into this video with the same mindset that I did with my Kirsche video. Like I did with that video, I did take the time to do some digging around and looking at the content that NyaraVT consumes for, I guess you could say it's a trans political channel. I do believe that. Which, to be fair, Nera, I have seen trans political YouTubers slash influencers, and I hope you realize that the path you have chosen is a very volatile one. For now, you are taking a break because it is too much for you, and I know you're coming back, I believe, sometime in June. I took the time to do my own research into the matter, if transgender children do exist. I tried my best to avoid as many sites as possible that could be potentially politically motivated. I also tried to avoid my best to avoid the stories of trans kids in the US because, well, let's face it, we're not known as the most mentally balanced country in the world. I mean, there are people like PDF files that got asylum. I think his name was Amos Yee or something. Jeffrey Marsh and Christian, who want to seek protections from the LGBT peoples here in the US. Even people Kirsche said with that weird medical term of guys who have extreme kink of thinking of performing certain acts that women go through. Sorry, I cannot pronounce that name. I'll try to put it on the screen. So, a lot of the discussion of the topic of transgenderism slash dysphoria is attributed to the statement by the World Health Organization back during the time of the first Trump administration, where it was stated that transgenderism was indeed an ideology. This statement by the organization was made because they thought that even though gender dysphoria was at the time known, they could not stand the thought of a tarnished reputation by saying that trans people, just like gay people, can indeed be born trans. It was not until further researchers conducted by countries outside of the United States that there is growing evidence by MRI scans and blood work that gender dysphoria is indeed something that could be potentially inherited even at birth. In which case, the WHO backtracked the original statement. However, even though this was the case, there were a bunch of people that did not take too kindly to this revelation and decided to make this issue a political one in order to discredit the World Health Organization and simultaneously promote discrimination against trans people. Now, as it currently stands, there is a bit of a battle between NyaraVT and other CCs like Tectone, Asmongold, and Rev Says Desu on the topic of transgender children. While Nyara is a sweet individual, she tends to get overly emotional and goes on an unnecessary tirade, especially when it comes to the topic of trans kids. Now, for the three CCs, like Rev says, Desu, Tectone, and Asmongold, they believe in the original statement made by the World Health Organization back during the first Trump administration, and are convinced that gender dysphoria could not exist in prepubescent children. Well, there is actually growing evidence that yes, indeed, you can be born with condition. Not only that, research is also being conducted that, like ADHD, attention deficit disorder, and autism, that gender dysphoria is inherited by one of the parents when the child is first conceived. To support this claim that you could be born with this condition, I found an article dated back in 2016 of a trans female of the age of 6 years in New Zealand. If this research does prove that you can indeed be born with gender dysphoria, the term gender dysphoria can no longer exist anymore, since it is a term that supports an ideology rather than a proper medical term. Looking into all this data, it seems that transgenderism, if you can see my air quotes, and gender dysphoria is similar to that of hermaphroditism. But instead of being born with two visual organs, you're born with a male body, but an actual female brain. Even though you are born as a male with XY chromosomes, the testosterone levels in the body are already suppressed or limited. There are people on this platform, even Vtubers, who, without any voice training, maintain a female voice. They have also claimed that their testosterone levels are far below what a male should have before they started hormone replacement therapy. Okay, if y'all think that Nera VT is the only trans VTuber on this platform, think again. Because they're starting to pop up. Now, for the most controversial topic of children and HRT / puberty blockers, there is a misconception about these medical treatments in which both of these are one and the same. Well, they are not. There will come a point where children will become candidates, very good candidates, for hormone replacement therapy. However, since research on the topic of trans kids is a fairly new one, children are placed on puberty blockers in order to prevent medical malpractice. But it seems, thanks to research conducted in both Brazil and Germany, it may not be long before kids are administered hormone replacement therapy rather than starting off with puberty blockers. As such, this condition could be treated the same way as hermaphroditism, or in the case, a more advanced version of it. Now, I know hermaphroditism isn't exactly the best comparison, but it's the closest comparison I can think of. Now, for the big question, the elephant in the room. Do puberty blockers cause the same amount of irreversible damage as hormone replacement therapy? The answer is no. It is possible that during administration of puberty blockers that there is a reduced bone density, height, and fertility. However, the effects are not as detrimental as hormone replacement therapy. But there is cause for concern that there are politically motivated child healthcare professionals. However, they are not as common as certain people have you believe. It is also unfortunate that potential financial burden is the cause for seeking out these questionable healthcare professionals, as well as heavily influenced religious peoples that do it to punish their kids. That last part is never discussed, and from what I've seen, usually happens with transition regret. And it's not always the whole transition by proxy people. Keep that in mind. Now I think it's a little time for a little bit of
tough love.
Nera, as uncomfortable as it is for you to hear this, I hope to God this video reaches you. Because you need to sit down, shut your mouth, and pay attention, put your emotions aside for a freaking moment. And not only hear what you want to hear, but listen to what I'm about to tell you. Because this is not coming from malice. Okay? This is coming from concern and well-being. You are a good person. And seeing as that you are good friends with Yuko EX, whom I uphold with a little bit more respect, you, NyaraVT, need to choose your battles extremely carefully. Doing what you did with Tectone and Asmongold, as well as Rev says Desu, was probably one of the dumbest things I have ever seen you do. There are VTubers who are making fun of you because you made some weird specs joke on Twitter a while back and you're presenting as a serious individual on YouTube. I know you're aware of your follies. You keep suckering yourself into meaningless battles that ultimately get yourself hurt. I don't want you to fall into obscurity. I know what you're trying to do, and I respect you for that. Nyara, you are allowing this crusade to poison your mind and destroy the soul God put on this earth. From one trans person to another, you support Anna Valence. I
buried her.
Because she has no respect for herself, but you do. So who is NyaraVT? Is she an unhinged crusader or an individual worth loving and respecting? I also have to ask you this question too, Nyara. Have you even paid attention to your chat? Some of your chatters have some of the most generic GTA tryhard names in existence. Personally, I would have banned those buffoons. Anyone who has the most unimaginative, cringe, fear-inducing screen names will in fact get yeeted off my community. The second they even say, hi. I have dealt with people like that before, and I have no intention of allowing myself to get exposed to the most cringiest people in my gaming community. Ever again. Never in my life have I seen anyone get baited by their own chat so hard. And I thought the Gotcha CC Mr. Pokey had it bad. Boy, howdy was I even wrong about that. I swear to God, in some of your videos and streams, you are not only getting one guide, you've gotten 5 guide. And it shows in your tweets, Nyara. I believe you would be, as much as I would actually end up taking your invitation to become your moderator, don't even think about it, because there could be unintended
casualties when I'm done.
Make the right choice, Nera, because I'd hate to have to take your VTuber soul and, just like Anna Valens, have it requiescat in pace. Goodbye, dorks.